What's good? What's good, beautiful people? This is your guy, Tone DeShields the second. I'm joined by my brother in arms, Philly Foothills from the Nest Out West, and I am from Talkative Sports. And we are, when we come together like Voltron, the Birds of a Feather podcast. And you guys, there's so much to discuss. like, there's too much to discuss, and let's just jump right into it because the last thing we want to do is waste time. You guys have Birds of a Feather, the podcast, for a solid hour, and we're going to keep hitting you with those knockout blows. You feel what I'm saying? So stay with us because we got so much to discuss when it comes to these Philadelphia Eagles. Now, as we already know, man, Philly Foothills, geez Louise, like the Philadelphia Eagles made a trade.
Big time trade. Big time trade today.
Big time, right? Big time. And they ultimately decided to make a move with the New Orleans Saints. And in that move, they essentially swapped 16th and 18th overall picks. And then the Eagles gave them the additional 19th overall pick and a 6th round pick in exchange for, like I said, their number 18th overall pick, a 3rd round pick for this year, a 7th round pick for this year, a 1st round pick for next year, and a 2nd round pick for the following season. So you guys can clearly see the details of the move right on your screen.
Yep.
But man, first things first, what were your initial thoughts about the deal when it first came out?
Well, when I first started reading it and I saw that we were trading away picks 16 and 19, I thought it was possibly just a late April Fool's joke, something like that. But then when I read further into it, it started to make more sense to me. And I know some people are upset because we did trade away 2 of our 1st round picks this year. But keep in mind, we did get one back from them this year as well. So if you want to say, we could even say that we traded them our 16th, or we could say that we swapped with them our 18th and 19th and gave them the 16th. I mean, you could even look at it like that, So
they basically moved up, and they basically moved up one pick.
Yeah,
and traded the 16th for a 1st round pick next year, which is something we already discussed that they were going to do.
Right. And I mean, if we're in the business of drafting talent that's going to succeed in the NFL, that's going to be developed, and that's going to garner paychecks down the road, So if we would have drafted 3 guys in the 1st round this year, we would have had to pay each, and if they panned out, we would have had to pay 3 guys 1st round money in 2026. And it's hard enough to pay 2 guys 1st round money when they both succeed from the first. It's not very common that teams draft 2 guys in the 1st round. So it's not easy to do. It's when it comes to paying them their contracts when the contracts come due. So, people have to keep that in mind as well. I think when Howie got the call about this deal, when he heard the 1st round pick for next year, he was very intrigued. And I think that 2nd round in 2024, I think that was the cherry on the top for Howie. I don't think he couldn't walk away after that at that point because he's keeping it. This is the thing. This is the problem that I have with Howie Roseman, everybody, is that Howie Roseman he's looking more after himself and his job than he is for the longevity and the success of this football team. So you have to keep that in mind as well, because he is definitely keeping flexibility and insurance down the road. If Jalen Hurts doesn't pan out, that we got some moves that we can make down the road. Next year we're gonna have 2 1st round picks, and I personally think that the Saints are not going to be that good in this coming year. I mean, I think without Sean Payton, that the old Jameis Winston is going to come back. I think he's going to those old habits are going to rear their ugly heads, so to speak. But I mean, what was your initial reactions on this trade, Tone? What did you think?
If I'm being completely honest, I didn't really have a significant reaction. It was more so I saw this coming. It was just a matter of who they were going to make the deal with, what they were going to exchange and give up, and how was it going to look and how was it going to affect us going forward. And it doesn't negatively affect us in any way. I want to make that very clear. On Twitter, I share my thoughts about it, and I want to make it. I want to make it very, very clear. This move is great for the Philadelphia Eagles as a team, as an organization, as a franchise. But it puts Jalen Hurts on notice. It puts him on high alert that they are prepared to make a move if you do not pan out, if you do not improve the way everyone expects you to, the way everyone would like you to, because I personally have high expectations for the kid. I have high expectations for Jalen Hurts because I believe in the man, I believe in the person, I believe in the mentality, the work ethic. So
Yeah.
I believe he's going to improve. The question becomes, how much will he improve? And I'll be as transparent as this as well. I was one of the people who grew to say we should make a move for Deshaun Watson. Yet that didn't come to fruition. It is what it is. That's neither here nor there. I'm all about upgrading his team and being better than we were yesterday, no matter what the casualties are. That's how I feel about it. As much as I rock with Jalen Hurts, as y'all see, I got the jersey behind me rocking. As much as I rock with the kid, at the end of the day, I'm about my Philadelphia Eagles and what's the best move for us for the now and for the future. And this move is definitely great for us in the future. It gives us more picks in the now as well. And also, my stance hasn't really changed about Howard Roseman. My stance hasn't really changed about the fact that I don't think he's done enough to give Jalen Hurts a fair shot at success. That's one thing I will stand on.
That's
He
right.
hasn't done remotely anything to give Jalen Hurts a fair shot at being successful or earning his job in the long term. If anything, he's making moves to indicate that he wants to make it as tough as possible. So if Jalen does succeed, it's completely he's an unquestionable guy. His role in this team is unquestionable. He's actually making the hill a lot steeper for him. If you ask me, he hasn't done anything in the offseason to necessarily warrant Jalen Hurts' success. He brought in Zach Pascal thinking that was supposed to supplement the wide receiver room. No,
Yeah.
it doesn't at all. We have Devontae Smith and a crowded room full of number threes. Let's be totally honest about it.
It's
And
true.
this is no slight on Quez Watkins. This is no slight on Greg Ward, who I like a lot. This is just the reality. We have Devontae Smith, who this past season actually put up number 2 numbers, but he is our number 1. And it's not like the game plan or the scheme or the way we call plays necessarily was conducive to Devontae Smith's success. We were in a run-heavy, run-style offense. So his offensive output is actually pretty good, all things considered, when you think about the circumstance. But if you want to just go strictly by the numbers, he put up number 2 numbers. Everybody else put up number 3 numbers or below. Dallas Goedert put up number 2 tight end numbers. You know what I'm saying? Maybe a number 1 tight end, depending on the kind of offense you run. But overall, I expect Dallas Goedert to improve. I expect Devontae Smith to improve. I even expect Quez Watkins to improve, right? But outside of that, what has he done to make Jalen Hurts' campaign to win his job that much more successful? He's done nothing. If anything, this move, it further gives the team flexibility, which I love. It prepares us to make a move next season if Jalen Hurts doesn't pan out, which I love. But we have to look at it from both sides of the coin. For those of you who love Jalen Hurts, this move, no matter what, unless they decide to make a move for like a DK or AJ Brown and trade one of the first round picks, they can bring in one of those guys. Don't think they're going to bring in a big time wide receiver in free agency or through a trade. 9 times out of 10, they're going to draft a wide receiver and let that be the case. But the problem is the Eagles suck at drafting wide receivers. So it's like you damn if you do, damn if you don't. And you know they don't. And you know Howie doesn't want to cut the check for a guy like DK or AJ Brown because he wouldn't do it for Allen Robinson. He wouldn't do it for Christian. He wouldn't do it for Christian Kirk. He wouldn't do it for Tyreek Hill. So what makes you think he's going to trade for one of these guys like DK or AJ Brown and then all of a sudden give them extensions, which is what they're looking for? That's why they're on the trade block, because their teams don't want to pay them. So if Harry Roseman didn't want to pay guys that we would deem as, I guess, more affordable than these guys that we're talking about, DK Metcalf is, these wide receivers are commanding $20 million plus a year if you're a number 1. $20 million plus.
They are.
And we got to take that into consideration. So again, I know I said a lot, but overall is the fact that great move for the Philadelphia Eagles, great move for the 2023 offseason. We still have 2 first-round picks in this draft. We also added some more draft picks for this year, so we're still in a great position. We still have our 15th overall pick. We moved on from our 16th and our 19th and moved up to 18th. So we have our 15th and 18th overall pick. We're still in great standing in the when it comes to this draft and getting some talent on both sides of the ball, whichever way we decide to do. But the bottom line is Jalen Hurts has officially been put on notice that if this don't work out this year, we're going to get somebody else, and most likely you'll be traded for assets.
Yeah, and it's kind of sad because I mean, if you're going to put him on notice, at least give him something to work with. You know,
and that's my thing. That's my thing. If you're going to do it, at least give him something to work with. You didn't get a running back. You didn't sign another tight end. You signed no offensive weapons except for Zach Pascal. And I don't mean no disrespect to Zach Pascal. I know he's earned the right to be in this league. But my thing is this: Zach Pascal is not done. He's an undrafted. He was an undrafted rookie, and I think he's going into his 5th season now in the NFL. Zach Pascal has done nothing to warrant the respect of legit DBs, and he's not a legit threat. Now who knows? Only Lord knows if he breaks out with the Eagles. Who knows, right? Lord knows if Jalen Reagor finally figures it out. Lord knows if Quez Watkins just starts snapping out of nowhere. Lord knows if Devontae Smith breaks. It's so many things that can happen. But we're putting so much stock in the guys that we didn't have too much belief in the first place, like a Jalen Reagor, like a Zach Pascal. Quez Watkins, he's a fan favorite. Devontae Smith obviously does what he does. Dallas Goedert needs to tighten up, give her those drops. But overall, man, great move for the team. Interesting move as it pertains to Jalen Hurts. And, we'll see how it plays out, man. It's really interesting.
It is because, the fact that, to me, the getting an extra pick in the 3rd round is pretty significant as well. Because we acquired pick number 101, which is a 3rd round pick. We already had a 3rd round pick, which was our own. I forget what number it is in the 3rd round, but there could be some in this draft class. I think there could be some decent receivers still in the 3rd round. There could be some decent running backs that we could look into as well. So, that pick alone could pan out to be another Kenny Gainwell. You know what I mean? It could be that type of an impactful player, like a guy that can go from day one. I know not a lot of 3rd or 4th rounders do, but you never know. You never really know, and it's all going to depend on. I mean, let's say like if we do get another running back in the 3rd round, I think there's a good chance that if that guy steps up, Miles could be fighting for playing time this coming year. He really could be, because there is deep. I mean, there's a deep amount of talent at receiver and at running back in this class, I feel.
It is, man. I'm really curious which direction they go in. So, now that we know
this next season, we're going to be like we were with the Colts. We're going to be like we were with the Dolphins. We're going to want the Saints to finish as worse as possible, so we get the highest pick as possible from them.
Right. And another nuance about this trade is the fact that Howie Roseman clearly doesn't have faith in the Saints being good this coming season. And
true.
There's a chance, like you said, Jameis Winston, that new head coach, who knows if they'll gel? Who knows, right?
Yeah, and some people were complaining that Howie, instead of maybe getting the 2024 pick, the 2nd round pick, maybe he could have gotten Michael Thomas. But I don't know if I want Michael Thomas on this team. Do we really want Michael Thomas mentoring a guy like Devontae Smith? I don't know if that's a great idea. I just really don't.
How come?
I mean, he's had issues with the coaching. He's had some issues, with as far as clashing heads with the coaching, as far as wanting to stay in line with what the coach's ideas and things like that. And I just don't think that's a good message that you want sent to your young receiver core.
Mm, I don't know. I definitely wouldn't have mind. My thing is the Philadelphia Eagles. We can have all the draft picks we want, right? But we need players at the end of the day, guys who are proven.
It's
And
true.
a change of scenery can mean everything to a player. Um, it definitely would have been interesting to see if Michael Thomas was a part of this deal. That would have showed me that okay, you're trying to at least give Jalen Hurts something to work with now. And if you move on from him, you also got something for the next quarterback later. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to say the least. But his character, look, I'm not looking for the guy to, you know, you know, I'm not looking for the guy to lead Bible study, right? I need him to play football. So, like at the end of the day, if he's producing, I could care less what's going on. At this point, I feel like this organization has allowed character issues to dictate too much of how we move. Too often. And look, I'm not saying you want an ex murderer in the building. You don't want that. You don't want to, you don't want a rapist in the building. I'm not saying that. But all I'm saying is, at the end of the day, talent is something that can overshadow a lot of things. And Michael Thomas is one of the best route runners in this NFL. You bring that guy in the building, he gives you exactly what you need, opposite Devontae Smith. So at the end of the day, we'll need to see how this pans out. We still have the draft coming up. You know what I mean? And Howard Roseman still has to make these picks. So we can accumulate as many picks as we want. Howard Roseman still has to make the decisions. And that's something that we will never be able to escape for as long as we live right now. So what do you think Howard Roseman's moves are now? Like what do you expect the moves to be? What do you think his approach to the draft will be now that we officially only have 2 first-round picks in this draft? I think we're going to use both of them. I think that's a fact. The fact of the matter is, will we trade one of those again for a proven wide receiver? Again, I don't think so because those guys are looking for contract extensions, and that's not what Howard Roseman has not been in the business of spending money this current offseason. So,
Right.
What do you think the moves will be?
Yeah, it's going to be, it's going to be all dependent on kind of how, obviously if we stay with these picks now at 15 and 18, I could see us, I still think I will still be blown away if we take a linebacker in the first round because of the fact that linebacker was kind of the position that we addressed the most in free agency, with the acquisition of Reddick, and then also with the Kaiser White acquisition as well. So
Right.
I think there's a good chance that we go at 15, probably defensive tackle, whichever one's on the board, whichever Georgia guy is on the board, Howie's probably going to go with him because he overvalues the defensive tackle position. I know that there is a value to it, but he definitely overvalues that to me in my opinion. Now, if
The D line in general, or the D tackle position specifically?
the D tackle position specifically, in my opinion, he does because we've seen it. Just this past season alone. Look how much money that we had tied up between Cox and Hargrave. It was like I think they were both making like 30 million or something like that. It was crazy how much money we had tied up in the defensive tackle position. So, unless something crazy happens, like, because I've been hearing, I don't know if you've seen some of the latest mock drafts, but Walker, the defensive end, has leapfrogged Thibodeau.
That's what I heard.
Yeah,
I've seen it. Every mock draft I've done since then, Javon Walker has been going he's been slated to go like top 5. Like it's and Thibodeau's just keeps slipping. I'm
So
not really sure why. Have they really given details as to why?
Like some of it, I guess, like the inconsistency of his play. That's what I was reading. I didn't read into a lot of detail about it, but yeah, there's a chance they're saying now that he could slip, and if he does slip to us, I could see us taking him at 15. Absolutely. the if the draft plays out like that, then I say we have to make that move, don't you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, if he's there, what can you lose, right? Because it's not like you reached for him; he fell to you. Okay.
Right.
I mean, if he works out, that's great. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I can't get mad at a team for taking a chance on him. He's been arguably one of the most highly touted edge rushers in this draft. But as the draft gets closer, the playing field starts to get a little bit more level, and you start to find out more about these guys. And if I'm being honest, I'm a huge Jermaine Johnson fan.
Mm-hmm.
I love Trevon Walker. The dope thing about both of those guys, if you ask me, in particular, like Jermaine Johnson. I'm sorry, Trevon Walker. Trevon Walker's from Georgia, right?
Yeah.
One of the dopest things about him I've noticed is that his ability to also drop back in coverage. I've
Mm.
seen like he's very versatile. Jermaine Johnson as well, very versatile. So one of the things I keep hearing about Thibodeau is that he's a one-trick pony, and he hasn't really gone up against the elite athletes like you run up against in the SEC. He's played in the Pac-12 because he played with Oregon, right?
Right.
So he played in the Pac-12. How much were you dominating truly? Like were you just did you just happen to be the best athlete on the field at certain times?
Mm-hmm.
And was your competition really that stiff? That's my same issue with Drake London. I know a lot of people love Drake London, but I'm a Traylon Burks fan for this for the simple fact that he went up against better competition than Drake London. He has more pop than Drake London, in my opinion. Drake London doesn't really seem to be as astute of a route runner as Traylon Burks. Drake London, again, 6'5", 220 pounds. It's hard to really argue against that, right? But again, another guy that played in the Pac-12 and is used to being the best athlete on the field. What happens when you run up against an athlete just as athletic as you? Skill has to take over. Talent has to take over, right? And fundamentals have to take over. And
Football
I just don't.
IQ. Yep.
And I just football IQ exactly. And I just don't think he is up to par when it comes to Traylon Burks in that regard. Traylon Burks, I was watching him in the SEC. He torched Alabama. You know what I'm saying? Like he has a resume against the competition. To back it up. So I'm a Traylon Burks fan. I feel like Traylon Burks is more versatile. You can use him more different ways. I just feel like Drake London. He's all muscle, all athleticism. At some point you got to run routes. At some point, you're gonna run up against somebody at just as maybe strong as you. And Drake London doesn't have any speed at all. A lot of people get on Trey Burks for his speed, but his acceleration may not be there. But once he gets going, you can't catch him. Whereas with Drake London, he's not outrunning anybody. What makes a guy like DK Metcalf so unique is he has the size and the uncanny speed. Drake London is not outrunning anybody at all. But I will say this though, it took about 4 or 5 guys to tackle that man every time. So I'll tell you that.
Yeah, he's a big boy, definitely. But yeah, the more and more I've dived into the receiver class, I do like I do like the gentleman that you were speaking of. Um,
Traylon Burks.
yeah, Traylon Burks. Yeah, he's definitely. I think he's got that kind of ability to. So he
And
knows he's got that.
and real quick, he's 6'4", 6'3", about 220 pounds. He's not too far off from Drake London at all.
Yeah, yeah. So he's not small. It's not like he's undersized at all. He's just he's a more a more polished route runner, and he can get you that 50-50 ball too when you need it. So
Right.
yeah, I'm liking Burks the more and more I've watched his tape, things like that. So yeah, I'm with you on that. Definitely, I think he would be he would be a better fit for us, and I think he's just going to have more he's going to have more of an NFL more longevity in his career in the NFL than Burt than uh, what's the kid's name from USC? I keep forgetting his name.
Drake London. Drake
Yeah,
London.
London.
And
Yeah,
top of that, Traylon Burks' hands are huge. Like I think he has arguably the biggest hands in the wide receiver class. Like, his hands are huge. Like so, I just have I
Monster
just see a
hits.
higher I just see a higher ceiling for a guy like Traylon Burks than I do
Yeah.
Drake London. And I just feel like Drake London's gonna, being 6'5", being that big, man, guys are gonna be hitting you low all day.
Mm.
And I just feel like it won't last.
He's gonna have some lower leg issues, huh? Lower
Yeah,
body.
man, yeah. That's what I think. And I just think Traylon Burks is a better 50-50 ball catcher.
Yeah, I think so too. It's gonna be interesting to see if when the Eagles do decide to put a weapon behind Jalen, because there were if they do go, let's say they go defense with the first two picks,
Mm-hmm.
and then maybe we go receiver in the second round. A guy like there's talent out there. There's second round talent out there at receiver. There really is. There's a guy that my co-host of our East Meets West podcast, AK Eagles, his new brand, his AK Eagles podcast, is he's been clamoring about Christian Watson, and I like Christian Watson a lot too. I think he's going to be good in the NFL.
Agreed. I was watching a Christian Watson film. Dude is an athletic freak. A little unpolished, but definitely athletic as hell, and it's very teachable.
Yeah,
So you know,
he's built kind
right,
of like Claypool in Pittsburgh, but I
right.
think he's got more. I think he's got more upside than Claypool does, or he
Really,
has. Yeah, I think so. I do.
wow.
I think he's going to be a beast in the NFL.
Word. So
I mean, I wouldn't be
when
surprised at all if somebody reached and took Christian Watson in the first round. I wouldn't be surprised.
oh snap. Now
I wouldn't be
that see, my
surprised.
thing is though, like I would be surprised because he's going to be like my thing is he's going to be there, right? It's like there's so much talent in the wide receiver room. You don't need to reach. You can just be patient.
Yeah,
So maybe a team won't, because I feel like you want to get these top tier defensive guys early. You want to go defense early in this draft, because after a certain point it will be a drop off. So I'm definitely looking forward to this draft. Really curious to see how this thing pans out. If I'm being completely honest, I definitely see us going D line, depending on who's available.
right.
It'll be edge or D tackle, obviously, but
Yep.
depending on what's available. But D line, and then wide receiver, honestly. Or I could definitely see us going corner, wide receiver, because I ain't gonna lie, at this point, there's no way you can go this long and not bring in another cat to help out Jalen Hurts. There's no way. They have to be going wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, unless they're planning on going wide receiver at 51, in the second round,
Right,
it's
and get your boy Christian Watson.
right. So I mean, they could go defensive line, like you said, depending on who's available, either D tackle or edge, and then go corner at 18. If if one of these guys are available, if Booth Jr. happens to fall to 18, or if there's a couple other names that are slipping my mind right now that are first round talent corners, but or McDuffie. I've heard possibilities of us going after him, and so I think that we could go D line and then go corner, because we got. It's going to be interesting to see if we, if we don't go corner in the first round, who's going to start at CB2? Are we going to bring Nelson back, or is it going to be a battle between Zach McPherson and Tay Gowan, two second year guys?
Right. Kerry Vincent Jr. as well. All those guys are
Yeah, him
clamoring,
too.
clamoring for that spot.
Right,
I feel like the team knows as
because we
much
got
as
our slot guy. I mean, Maddox played
right.
out of this world last year. He was one of the best
Exactly.
slot corners in the league. So we
Exactly.
got two-thirds of the puzzle when it comes to the corner position. We just need that CB2.
Exactly.
Gilmore. I've been hearing more and more rumors about Stephon Gilmore, so we'll
Right.
see. That's still a possibility. I think if you put Gilmore on the other side of Slay, as long as it doesn't kill us financially, I think that would be a great move for this team, because that would give us two pretty damn good lockdown corners with Maddox in the slot. I mean, where are you going to go? Our linebackers are improved too. Couple of our linebackers are the guys that we acquired are pretty good at coverage too. So, our defense is going to be vastly improved especially if we address the CB2 position.
Yeah, you can make an argument that if they improve the defensive line, the cornerbacks are naturally going to get better because we're putting more pressure on the quarterback, and it forces them to get rid of the ball much sooner or later than he anticipated. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's definitely going to be interesting to see how it plays out because at the end of the day, if you ain't got a pass rush, it don't matter who you got back there defending the pass. They're not going to be able to keep up with the wide receiver all day because the rules don't allow them to be as physical as they would like.
Right.
So you need to have an elite pass rush to
Mm-hmm.
be able to get to the quarterback and help out your DBs. Like I said, the game today doesn't allow for these DBs to stay physical for extended periods at a time.
Yeah, because when you have a D line that's, like you said, consistently getting pressure, and if you're grading it, let's say it's a B plus or better, then that's going to make a secondary that's, say, a C minus secondary. That's going to make them look like a solid B plus. It's going to make it all filters down. It makes things that much easier for the guys on the back end because when, like you said, when you're getting to the quarterback, when you're reducing that time that they have to find receivers and for receivers to get open, then yeah, your percentages of winning are going way, way up at that point.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
through the roof.
So 15th and 18th overall pick now in the first round. Eagles made a huge trade with the Saints. Let's put this thing back on the board real quick so people can see it if Casey's just hopping in. Huge
Yep.
move. Eagles receive the 18th overall pick in this year's draft. They also receive another third round pick in this draft, a 7th round pick this year's draft, a 2023 first round pick, and a 2024 second round pick. And they sent over their 16th overall pick for this year's draft, 19th overall pick in this year's draft, and their 6th round pick in this year's draft. So the Saints clearly are going all in on this draft class, whereas though we're trying to spread the wealth across this year, next year, and the following, right? So Howard Roseman is clearly making some moves to provide flexibility for 3 separate years, which is very good. I'll give him credit for that. But the bottom line is, no matter what happens, Jalen Hurts has no other option but to improve. And if he doesn't, he will be out the door, no matter how much you hate it or love it, no matter how much you love him or dislike him. Best believe they will move on from this young man if he doesn't have a damn near flawless season. Because they are virtually telling him, we want you to be successful, but on our terms. We want you to be successful, but we're going to make you play the game with one hand tied behind your back. So they're making it very clear to him, if this don't pan out, we are very well prepared to move on. And we could probably get more if we trade you. You know what I mean? So I definitely expect the Saints to be fair. I don't expect the Saints to be great at all. I expect them to be fair. I think it's going to. I think Tampa Bay is going to obviously dictate that division.
Oh yeah.
And I actually think I think the Saints, Falcons, and the Panthers are just going to be cannibalizing each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I just really don't expect the Saints to be that good. Not because Jameis Winston, more so because they're going through a coaching transition. They were cap strapped, and I actually do expect Jameis Winston to take a step back because coming off the injury, and on top of that, Sean Payton is not there to reel him in anymore. His head coach now is defensively minded. Their defensive coordinator just became the head coach. So how much will Jameis Winston really improve? But overall, though, the Philadelphia Eagles, man, they put themselves in a hell of a position. Like I said, great move for the team. Just a very interesting move as it relates to Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, I think we're going to see that Tampa Bay Jameis this year kind of come back because, like you said, he's not going to have that good coaching to reel him back in and to help him stay in his lane, so to speak. So, but somebody in the chat said, if the Saints didn't plan to be competitive this year, why would they ship away a first one in the future? Well, a lot of teams plan to be competitive. It doesn't always work out that way. You know
Exactly.
what I mean?
I was just about to say that. You can plan for whatever you want to plan for.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
at the end of the day, if you suck, you suck.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I'm saying?
and they're going to be in a tough division. The Falcons are going to be rebuilding. That the Panthers are doing the same pretty much, and the Buccaneers they're getting Brady back, and I'm sure they're going to be looking to dominate the NFC like they have, but are been very successful, especially in that division. So that it's not like they're going to be, I don't think they're going to be anywhere near the top. To me, I think the Saints are going to be, fighting to keep out of the basement in that division this
Right.
coming season.
Let's look at their schedule.
Let's look at it.
Let's just call it what it is.
Yep.
Let's not BS about it. Right.
Like
So
LB says, let's call a spade a spade.
exactly. So this is their schedule. Now no one knows when or how the schedule is going to be ordered. But this is the people they're playing. They have to play the Cardinals. Obviously, they play the Falcons and the Panthers. So
Right.
outside of their division, they got to play the Cardinals. They got to play the Browns. They got to play the Rams.
That's a loss.
They got to play the Seahawks, the Ravens, the Bengals, the Steelers, the 49ers, the Raiders,
Ooh,
the Vikings.
us.
They got to play us. Like, come on. Like, this is not a schedule that's for the faint of heart.
No.
And again, we don't know how the schedule is going to lay out, but you got to play the Super Bowl champions and the runner-ups in the same season.
Right.
You got to play the Arizona Cardinals and the Browns who just got Deshaun Watson.
Right.
You got to play the 49ers, Tampa Bay twice a year, the Minnesota Vikings. Like, this isn't going to be a sweet schedule.
No, and their division is no gimmies and wins either.
Right.
They're going to be fighting it out with those. They're probably going to lose twice to the Bucks. I mean, if they got lucky, they may get one win, but I don't see that happening. Right. And they're going to be fighting for wins in the division from those other three teams. So, yeah, it's or for the other two teams, I should say. So it's going to be a tough year for the Saints. I don't see them getting any more than. I mean, if I'm being totally honest right now, I don't see them getting any more than 6 or 7 wins at most.
You can probably bet on them splitting. Well, they always beat for some reason. They always beat the Buccaneers. I don't know why. It's strange, but
without Sean Payton, without Sean Payton, it is going to be different.
Yeah,
it's not going to be as easy as it used to be.
Yeah, the bottom line is they have to run up against some competition, and I know they have a good defense, but can they consistently put points on the board? That's going to be a question as well.
They have a good defense. Who did they just lose to retirement? Malcolm Jenkins.
Sure. They lost Malcolm Jenkins. They also lost their star left tackle, and is it Teron Armstead?
Right. But you lose on the defensive side of the ball. Well, will you lose a piece like Malcolm Jenkins? I don't care. I don't care if he was getting older or not. That's not as we found out. That's not easy to replace.
Yeah, man. Not. Yeah, and
it's leadership, that guidance, that glue that holds the defense together on the back end. Yeah, that could rear its ugly head quick.
Their running back, Alvin Kamara, is going through some legal issues, so who knows if he'll be available?
Exactly.
Like it's like this.
Michael Thomas is probably not going to be there. They're not going to have their receiver.
This is a very interesting situation for the Saints, and they're definitely saying that they believe in their roster this year and what their plan is. They're definitely leaning into this year without a shadow of a doubt. So much to the point where they were willing to give up their first round pick for next season. So
to me, I think there's a very good. I think there's a good chance. I would say well over a 50% chance. I would say well over even a 65% chance that we get a top 10 pick from the Saints next year.
I'll probably be a little bit more judicial, and I'll say we'll probably get a top 12, top 13.
Okay.
I think that's modest to say right now. I think that's pretty good to say for for right now. But overall, man, it's gonna it's going to be one of those seasons where we're going to be watching a lot of other teams. We're going to be watching how the Saints play. You know what I mean? It's just going to be very interesting to see. I'm actually really curious to find out how this offseason is going to go, not just from a drafting perspective, but also from a training camp perspective, because the Eagles are one of the only teams. The Eagles are how can I put this? Okay, the Eagles' first day of voluntary offseason workouts are April 25th. 30 other NFL teams start their offseason workouts before them. The only teams that start their offseason workouts after them are the Bengals, and they just came off a long stint in the playoffs. They want to give their team some rest. But my point is, the Eagles are, especially when it comes to the training camp schedule, because they also don't have mandatory minicamp this year either. They're completely nixing it. I don't know why, but this Philadelphia Eagles team is moving as if they have nothing they have nothing to prove. They're moving right now as if this team doesn't need all the reps that they can get. I understand that you probably want to, save some in the tank and prevent injuries, but the thing what we've been dealing with the most has been soft tissue injuries. When your body is not used to getting touched, not used to getting hit, those things are going to come.
Mm-hmm.
We need to get these guys going early in the offseason. I don't see, bro. There's so many teams starting like early in April. Like the Eagles now, they need more camaraderie. They need more reps. These young guys, like Jalen Hurts, like I know he's working with guys over in Cali, but this team needs more and more reps to make sure they're all on the same page. Because I don't want to hear anything throughout the offseason. I mean, throughout the season, talking about, oh, they're still getting used to each other and all this other. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. This team needs the reps. This team is still trying to prove themselves in this conference, in this NFL, that they can be legit at some point. They don't have time to be pussyfooting in the offseason saying, oh, yeah, we're going to let guys, just hang out and, chill out. You know what I mean? That makes sense, in my opinion, for the last season. When Nick Sirianni first got here, he didn't want to come on too strong. He wanted to make sure that he respected his veterans. He respected these guys and wanted to let them know that, hey, I want to make sure I include you guys in whatever decisions we're making when it comes to the schedule. It made sense the first year. You want to come in, a little light-footed. You don't want to come in, swinging your hammer around paws and just making people, dislike you early on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But this year, you was able to get this team to the playoffs as they're presently constructed. Y'all, you set the floor. You set the tone for your team. Now it's time for you to put the pressure on them. Now, if you want to tell your veterans, hey, listen, fall back, Fletcher Cox fall back, Jesse Kelsey fall back, Lane Johnson chill out, y'all good, all offensive line good, y'all gonna be good. But everybody else, y'all got to put in more work. I need more work from Quez Watkins. I need more work from Jalen Reagor. I need more work from guys like Sean Bradley. I need more work from everybody. Everybody. Like, it's no reason why we should be the second to last team to start our voluntary offseason workouts, because they need to make sure they're on the same page through and through.
Yeah, we don't have any time to be wasting. That's for sure. Hurts needs the time to be getting in rhythm with these receivers and for to be building and to be developing together and to really becoming one as an offensive unit. So I don't like to hear that we're getting a late start on these OTAs. That's definitely not a good start to the off season workouts and all that. That's for sure. We're going to be already behind the 8-ball when it comes to the other teams. But
yeah,
it's going to be interesting because the as far as I know, we haven't made any changes really to the coaching staff. So it's going to be all the same coaches returning.
which
And
is good.
Yeah, for the most part, I think it is. Continuity, consistency is usually a good thing to have. So, we just need some of these. We need one or two of these young guys to emerge. Whether it's Quez, whether by some miracle of God it's Jalen Reagor. I doubt, highly doubt anymore that it would be J Jaw, because he's just, to me, he's he's like a, you know he's a scout team.
Okay.
He's a scout team wide receiver. You know what I mean?
Hey, listen, last year of his contract. He's good as gone, man.
Yeah, yeah. He's the
He's good
umbrella
as
man.
gone.
We know what he is, and he's like Charmin. He's soft.
Yeah, bro. Like, I mean, listen, I don't care what no one says. Like, you have to set the tone as the head coach. As a coach of staff, you got to set the tone with these guys. You got to let them know that we putting in that work. Ain't no off days. Like, even the Rams who won the Super Bowl, they're starting like the first couple weeks, like the first week of April. Like, I think April 8th or something like that. I can't remember exactly what it is, but but you want this team to get better. You want Jalen Hurts to be sharp as he possibly can. You want these guys to be as conditioned as they possibly can be. Get these guys in early. Get their bodies used to this right now. Like, it's a reason why. It's a reason why, like, guys are dealing with what they've been dealing with at times. And I'm not saying last year wasn't a crazy year with injuries at all. We did a pretty good job. But okay, we're starting late. But now there's no mandatory minicamp. Come on. Like you're allowing listen, the offseason starts the day after your final game.
Mm-hmm.
That the next season starts the day after your final game. That's how I look at it.
Facts.
So if you got these guys as just playing hopscotch and patty cake, come on, man. I need more than that. I need you to set the tone. Let these guys know, okay, we blood, sweat, and tears. If there are guys out there working while you're not, that's a problem for me. Period. Guys are out there getting better while you're sitting home waiting for it to start on April 25th. That's a problem for me.
Yeah, that's how champions. That's how they think. That's how their mind process goes. Is that there basically is no off season. They start, like you said, the very next day for the next season. Once that one season is done, they may take a little time mentally, away from the game physically, but they still may be watching film. They still may be working out, keeping their body in condition. But yeah, always a work in progress for these guys. I mean, they're professional athletes. They depend. They and their families depend on them, and what they bring to the table, and they they are lucky to play a sport professionally and make the money that they do, and have the freedoms that they have in this country, and they shouldn't take that for granted, and some of them do. Some of them don't put in as much work as they should, but the ones that do, you can see the difference, because more times than not, it shines through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, and I'm looking at the chat, and I know a lot of people are campaigning for C.J. Stroud. He's that Ohio State quarterback, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's my thing. I ain't got nothing against C.J. Stroud. Seen him play. He's killing it in college. But I don't have the most faith in Ohio State quarterbacks. I just don't, man. Like, name me one Ohio State quarterback who has been legit in this NFL. Like, one.
No, that's true.
And like, is he supposed to break the mold or break the trend? I don't know. But I get nervous about Ohio State quarterbacks. I just do. Like, I'm not saying he's not talented, but I get nervous about it. Y'all don't, let's not pretend like Ohio State quarterbacks, no matter how good they look. We've seen Ohio State quarterbacks look amazing.
Well, we have, and then they just don't pan out in the NFL for whatever reason. So when a pattern continues to repeat itself like that, there's cause for concern at that point, because it's just, I mean, it's like, are we going to be the lucky team to get that player that's finally going to break the mold? Probably not. The percentages say no. So you want to go, when you're talking about things like this, you want to go with the percentages. You want to take the safer pick.
Right, man. And look, again, maybe he does surprise us, but I'm not gonna be the team to take that chance. I'm just not. Like, I'm sorry. I'm not. And I would love for all Ohio State's players to pan out, but Justin Fields in Chicago, he's not getting a fair shake. But at the same time, like I didn't see nothing from him that showed me, oh, okay, I get why this guy's a top 10, pick or whatever, wherever he got drafted. Like, I know they're not really giving him much over there in Chicago, but
now he's got a new coach. I mean, he didn't have the best coach to begin with coming in, so I mean, it's certain quarterbacks come into certain situations that are a lot better than others. Like Lamar Jackson, he goes to another team that's not like, say the Houston Texans drafted Lamar Jackson. I guarantee you he doesn't win an MVP. He's talented, yes, but Baltimore was a perfect situation for him. Perfect coach. They had a good talent around him already. They had a good defense. So
good running game.
Good running game, exactly, to alleviate the pressure off of a young quarterback. So yes, and he's a run game. He's a run game in himself. I mean, man, Lamar Jackson's an absolute stud when it comes to running the football as a quarterback. But I mean, it's just certain situations are obviously a lot better for certain players than others.
Oh yeah, without a doubt, man. So, from what it looks like to me. Well, let me ask you this, man. Let me ask you, how did you feel about the Philadelphia Eagles missing out on Devontae Parker?
So I did hear that he was acquired by another team, but what did they give up for him?
Oh, you're going to laugh. You're going to laugh at this.
Okay.
So, got the old trusty notebook in front of me. So, the Dolphins. Okay, so
tear it off quick, Doc. Tear it off quick.
All right, I got you. The Miami Dolphins traded Devontae Parker and a 2022 5th-round pick for a 2023 3rd-round pick.
That's it? Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
They basically they gave the Patriots a wide receiver and they threw a pick on top, and they only got back a 2023 3rd-round pick.
Wow. His value must have been not very high.
But you traded him in your division. You traded him. That's how much I'm like, yo, that's all they wanted? Philly, bro, like Howie, you couldn't make this move? And then it wasn't like trading for him, you would have to pay him. He already had 2 years left on his deal. You didn't have to guarantee him anything. You could have literally got him on a year. You could have traded for him, had him on a 2-year deal. If he didn't pan out, get rid of him in that final year of the contract, because his dead cap hit to be less than $1 million. Like, financially, it worked out. I just don't understand. It blows my mind, and I truly expected much more. Like, I expected Devontae Parker to at least be a viable option. And I know Devontae Parker has dealt with some injuries in the past, and I know he's sort of had a underwhelming career in totality. But overall, I feel like Devontae Parker definitely would have helped the situation rather than Zach Pascal. That's my whole thing. We made a move for Zach Pascal. Devontae Parker is much better than Devontae Parker, without a shadow of a doubt. And all I'm saying is, I'm not saying Devontae Parker is a world beater, nah. But he improves your wide receiver room instantly. And my thing is, right? It's if you're going to be cheap, Howie, okay, like it's a cheap move. Like, do it. It's a cheap move, like low risk, high reward. And again, like I'm not saying Devontae Parker is a huge, I'm not saying he's going to change our fortunes at all. But he brings something that we didn't have, and people have to acknowledge that. He provides something that we didn't have, and that's the bottom line. People can hate on Devontae Parker all you want. You can nitpick his game all you want, but at the end of the day, to say Pascal is better than Devontae Parker, you're smoking crack.
Yeah,
You're
without a doubt.
you're smoking crack with, and it's laced with bath salts. Like
Yeah,
you can't say that with a straight face that Zach Pascal better than Devontae Parker. Like,
I mean, Parker legitimately is talented enough to be a number one guy on certain teams. You know, obviously he got phased out in Miami, but I mean he's easily a number two guy, and Pascal definitely isn't. So yeah, the talent isn't even equatable. And I mean, the only thing I can think of was Parker looking for a contract extension? Is that another reason what held Howie back from making a move? That's the only possible thing I could think of to, you know, rationalize him not
look,
making.
He got traded to the Patriots. You know, the Patriots not giving him no extension at all. Like they play him on that same deal. But here's it. Let me put it in perspective, right? Devontae Parker only played in 10 games last season, had 515 yards, not much at all. Zach Pascal played in all 16 games, had 384 yards. So don't dare try to say Zach Pascal is better or even close to Devontae Parker. Like, it's not even a question. Like, it's just not.
Do you think that Parker didn't? Do you think maybe Parker he preferred to play with Mac Jones, who's got a better arm than Jalen Hurts?
It's a possibility. That would imply that they gave him say so into where he was going.
To a certain extent, maybe they gave him a couple choices. They said, "Here, we got two offers on the table. We got one from Philly, and we got one from New England. What would you prefer if we were gonna let you have, a certain say on the matter, which they may or may not have. I mean, it may have just, I don't know. It's that's to me that's frustrating as hell right there. That's very, very disheartening to hear that we wouldn't give up a third round pick for Devontae Parker. That's crazy because they got a draft pick and Parker for just one pick.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Parker, his best year was in 2019. He had over 1,200 yards, 9 touchdowns. But again, he's dealt with injuries. So he's never really had an opportunity to really fully play out a full season until 2019, and that's when he had his best year. So when healthy, Devontae Parker is going to give you everything you can handle. Think about it like this: every time we played him, he cooked us. Every time we played Devontae Parker, he cooked us. Right. Like, you can ask anybody. You can ask anybody that knows football. Devontae Parker or Zach Pascal. Oh, give me Devontae Parker.
Oh,
it's not even a question. It's not even a question.
It really isn't. It's not even close. That you're talking about, a third or fourth string receiver compared to your second starting guy. So yeah, it's apples to oranges. Really does not a comparison.
And real quick, Chris, the deal is this: the Dolphins received a third round pick. The Patriots received Devontae Parker and a fifth. They didn't trade a fifth round pick for Parker. The Patriots sent over a 2023 third round pick, and they got back Devontae Parker and the 2022 fifth round pick. So you got to think about it from that perspective.
Yeah. That to me that means his value wasn't very high at all. That's for sure. The Dolphins were obviously pretty desperate to get it to move him off of the books because they have their three receivers now. They have Tyreek Hill, they have Jalen Waddle, and they have who else did they get? They got who's the other guy? They got Cedric Wilson, didn't they, from Dallas?
Exactly.
Yeah. So they got their trio. They don't. Devontae Parker got phased out. So to me, the Patriots got a one hell of a deal right there. Because not only did they get a legitimate starting wide receiver, but they got a draft pick too, and they only had to give up a third-round pick for it.
Yeah, 2023 want to be exact. So, the bottom line is, at the end of the day, what's done is
And we
done.
now have and we now
I'm
have
not gonna.
we now have two third-round picks, so we could have easily made a move like that and been all right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And again, low risk, high reward type situation. But
Yep.
regardless, no one can convince me and say Zach Pascal was an upgrade in any way. If anything, you can make an argument that he's a more reliable JJ Arthur-Whiteside. But other than that, no one can really sit here and say that, oh, Zach Pascal, that is a huge move for us. No, it's not.
Yeah.
And we have this expectation. I have an expectation that Jalen Hurts is going to improve his game. But so far, I can't. They're not giving him a fair shot at improving his game. But it is what it's going to be, man. We've been rocking out for an hour, man, and the show has been great. Any final thoughts on this whole situation? In regards to the trade the Eagles made with the Saints and Jalen Hurts' progression and just the team in general. What are your final thoughts before we get out of here, my guy?
My final thoughts are this: is that you know there's obviously pros and cons to this trade, but at the end of the day, we still have two picks this year in the first round. We're gonna have two picks next year in the first round, and if Jalen works out, we can get him. Let's say we don't get a first round receiver this year. If Jalen, if he has a decent year and we decide to keep going with him, who knows? We could possibly get him you know, a first round receiver next year. So I, I'm not overly enthused, and I don't hate the trade at the same time. I'm kind of right in the middle with this thing. But I mean, to me, we weren't going to be able to, like I said earlier, we weren't going to be able to afford to pay three first round talents down the road because it's hard enough to pay two from the same class, which we're still going to have to do this year.
Right.
Hopefully, betting that these two first round picks that we do select, if we do, they pan out, and they become parts of our team for the foreseeable future. But it's things like this that can definitely get people heated. I know Twitter was literally on fire earlier after this trade went down. Several chats that I was in were blowing up. I hope the tempers didn't get too high, and we just have, at the end of the day, Eagles fans, we have to remember that we're fans of the same team. Yes, we may disagree on certain things on big trades like this, but let's not let it divide us. We need to stay together as brothers and sisters of this organization and of this franchise, and come together and support them as best we can. And let's direct our hatred and our rivalry to the Cowboys, to the Giants, to the Commanders. Let's direct it elsewhere. Let's not let's try to keep the tensions down within the fan base, definitely, and try to respect each other's opinion as best you can.
For sure, man. For sure. And for myself, it's just I'm looking forward to seeing how this stuff pans out, you guys. It's going to be really interesting to see how they try how they show their support for Jalen Hurts, and I'm really curious to see how the rest of this team improves. Me and Philly Foothills are going to be here next week again, Monday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern time, same time as today. And we appreciate you guys for locking in on the content. As always, you guys are always engaged. You guys always challenge our thought process. Some of you guys know what you're talking about. Some of you guys literally couldn't hit a dartboard if you wanted to. But it's okay. It's okay. Like I
It
love
is.
that. I love the energy that you guys provide. You guys are truly a part of this community that we're building, man. Uh so hold on real quick. John B, you got a quick question. Let's see. He says, what would Hurts have to do this year in order for you to not look for a quarterback in 2023? Oh man, you trying to have me on here for another half an hour, John B.
Right.
But to put it plainly, if I just want to bring, if I just want to approach it from a stat perspective, I need 4,000 passing yards, 30 passing touchdowns. And I need him to complete 65% or more of his passes. It's just that simple. But on that note, you guys were locked in on Birds of a Feather, the podcast. I was joined by my brother in arms, Philly Foothills from the Nest Out West. Make sure you guys go lock in on his YouTube channel as well. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I am your humble host, Tone DeShields II from Chalk It Up Sports, where no matter if we win or if we lose, we just got charges to the game. One love, stay humble, stay healthy, and most importantly, stay hungry.